Oh, you made it funny.
Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and today we are talking a 1968 movie, Roman Polanski movie. As far as I know, it was his first Hollywood movie, American movie. We are talking Rosemary's Baby. It's got a lot of things going for this movie, and a lot of people think highly of this movie. So let's go around these guys and with their opening thoughts on this. Let's go with Tim first.
Well, it's an excellent movie. It's like 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 the extras we did last week. It's very much of its time. I mean, it was one of those kind of shockers from the late '60s that was kind of it taps into the paranoia of the time and
Mm.
kind of makes you wonder throughout. I mean, is throughout the film is this woman being for real, or is something really going on? And what's really cool is that you find out that something is really going on, but it really is. It really they do a really good job of showing the paranoia. And also, she's a first time mother, which is probably pretty scary to anyone that has that kind of that whole experience. I mean, that's got to be something very unique. I mean, that I couldn't explain to you. But one thing I know about this film, which is kind of beside the point, but it's Stephen King once said that if you've read the book, you don't need to see the movie, and vice versa. And it's true. This movie is very close to the book. Whoever adapted it for the screen literally used most of the dialogue from the book, most of the scenes from the book. It really is that close to it. It was written by Ira Levine back in I think '65 or something. But anyway, it's an excellent film. I like the ambiguity of the ending as well, where at the end of the day, it's her baby and she loves it anyway, even though what have you done with its eyes? Who knows? But it's a great movie. I like it.
Cool. Thanks for that, Tim. Let's go to Connor because I think this might be the first time you've seen this. Is it, Connor?
It is actually the first time I've seen it. Yeah, it's only the second Roman Polanski film I've seen, and can certainly see why back in the day in 1967 it made him a big name, which they touched upon in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's a Tarantino check. Yeah, it's a really good film. I'm not a massive fan of horror, but this kind of encapsulates the kind of horror film I would watch. Is that something that kind of takes very ordinary setting and kind of plays with the mind with it. It's got satanic kind of references in it, obviously, as was kind of revealed at the end. But I also like how there's kind of like an unsettling sort of vibe throughout it all. And I think it mainly comes from my point of view anyway, from watching it for the first time, it mainly comes from Minnie, because she's whack. And it kind of, I also like how the more that they get involved with Minnie, the more Guy kind of becomes really controlling and really more aggressive towards Rosemary. There's kind of almost not so much coercive control relationship going on there, but you can tell he's almost trying to assert himself a lot more than he was right at the beginning of the movie, when he was kind of like, she was saying, "Oh, can we buy this flat?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, fine, okay." It was a bit. It was not. It was. It wasn't a doormat, but it was a bit like a. It was a more kind of. I don't know the. He didn't have the aggressive kind of traits that I think he had towards the end, and then at the end it was kind of alluded that he joined the cult as well, which was wacky. Yeah, I like how it plays on paranoia. Mia Farrow is fantastic in it. I can't remember the actress who played Minnie. She was fantastic in it. I believe that she got nominated or won an Oscar. One of
Ruth
the two.
Gordon.
Ruth Gordon, yeah, she's a very well-known actress back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing of this movie. Apart from Mia Farrow, I don't think I'd heard of any of the actors other than Mia Farrow.
John Cassavetes was a director in his own right and made his own films. He did acting to get money to spend on his own. He made a lot of independent films with Peter Falk and his wife Gina Rowlands.
Oh right, okay, yeah. So it was, yeah. I guess that all of these actors were kind of more on the independent scene than at the time than kind of big Hollywood.
Well, Maurice Evans, who played Hutch in it, was a well-known English actor in the day. Mostly well known for playing Doctor. Oh, what's his name? Doctor, is it Zeus from Planet of the Apes? But yeah, there was, I don't know. It was a bit of an ensemble cast, really.
Yeah, I liked how it kind of wasn't always about. It didn't feel like it was always about Rosemary. It was seen through her eyes, but like you kind of you got a bit of everything. Saperstein was a really weird character.
Ralph Bellamy, there, another well-known actor.
Yeah. It was probably just something of the time where, like,
Yeah.
I've heard of Mia Farrow, as I said, but the other ones I just haven't been exposed to, I guess. But for a kind of, I think it was also Roman Polanski's first English film, because obviously I think he's Polish by heritage, and I think that this was his first English film, not just his first Hollywood film. So I think it was quite. In many ways, it actually felt like a foreign film. If you watch a lot of foreign films, it's like I find that sometimes there's a distinct sort of difference between a Hollywood film and a foreign film. And in many ways, this felt like a foreign film. So I guess Roman Polanski was kind of using what he learned so far, obviously, to kind of make this film. So it did have not so much a Hollywood feel to it, which I liked. I liked kind of independent movie kind of feel to it. But the cast was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, Mia Farrow, as I said, was fantastic. There was a lot of shocking scenes as well, which kind of there wasn't enough shocking scenes though. The only scenes that kind of really shocked me was the rape dream that Rosemary has when she passes out, and when you see Terry's body after she jumps out the window. I didn't expect to kind of see that much in the way of like graphicness to a scene like that. That was a good shock because usually they kind of shy away from stuff like that, and that did kind of. I think that was where the story really started because that raised the question. She'd just been downstairs in the basement of the laundry room talking about how kind of redeemed and off drugs she is and how happy she is, and then all next thing you see of her, she's lying on the pavement dead. Her head pretty much exploded all over the pavement. It's that was kind of a good kind of hook into the story, I think, to propel the story forward. Yeah, I don't have any respect for Roman Polanski as a human being, obviously because of his behavior. But yeah, this is a great film actually for the time, I think, and a great psychological horror film as well.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Connor. Let's go to Susan.
So, yeah, this was during the time when Wicker Man was also made, that the British version of Wicker Man, and so it's kind of like the same thing, like this community that is like all established and all doing sort of demonic things, and together they sort of assert their presence, and actually in this one they end up controlling Guy and through whatever supernatural thing that was going on, not with special effects supernatural, but like with eerie shit and lots of. I mean, there was some gore, like Connor was saying, but it was more psychological, more horrible, like that, like Tim was saying. And Rosemary had a tough road to hoe. She went through it a lot. I mean, strong character, lots of questions, like, and it was before, women's liberation in the United States, which was in like 69, 70, 71, and 72. There was like a 4 year period of that, but this was right before that. And it was, you know, it was showing that there was not much chance of for a woman to extricate herself from horrible situations. And then there's like the rape dream, which was intense and stuff. Uh, and so and the baby with the eyes, wow. And the guy, the one of the guys, I think it's Hutch, saying he's got his father's eyes. Anyway, far out. Let's yeah, it was my first time seeing it through also, and um it was intense. Over to you.
Thank you, Susan. I haven't seen this movie for about 30 years now. That was the last time I'd watched it. You go back when you watch it that far back, you think, well, brilliant movie. You watch it again, you see different things. Yeah, I get why it's highly thought of. It broke the boundary, it broke the walls, barriers of movie making, of the Satanism. As Connor and Susan just said about the dream rape scene, I didn't find that disturbing at all, to be honest, because you didn't really see anything. It was just you just saw the group of people chanting in the room.
Well, could it not be that she was drugged? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
and she went to bed with her husband, and in the
yeah.
meantime, somebody else slipped in. So I mean,
Yeah,
basically,
this is
that's
what I'm going to allude to. I think what I found more disturbing was the morning after, when her husband admitted he made love to her while she was out,
mm,
and literally that is rape.
well, nowadays it wasn't
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm saying. And you could see she was quite taken aback and disgusted by that statement. What he said, he wasn't going to miss out on baby night. Um, that thing I found a bit just that little scene there was more disturbing for me than the scene of the night before with all the Satanism going on going on in the next door neighbour's house. Um, it's a horror, but it's more psychological. It's not very horrific. This movie, it's all with the mind, and which I love movies like that as well. Yeah, it's as Tim said, it's left sort of open ended with Rosemary rocking the crib. It's done well, but it's not. I don't think it's not aged well. It's for me, it's a bit dated now. I don't know. Maybe it's the set. I mean, it's the 60s setting, maybe. The Vidal Sassoon hairstyle, which I didn't understand. This 1 minute she's got long hair, next scene she's got short hair. Did they have to incorporate this into the movie because she just went out and cut her hair?
No, I
I
would say
think,
that. Go ahead.
sorry, I think it was to show the passage of time more than anything.
I was going to say it would tap into what Susan was just talking about, when in the late 60s, when the women's movement started to make itself felt here and there. That was one of the things ladies did, is they went out and bobbed their hair to say, look, you know
Yeah.
what, we don't have to be we can do the short hair thing too, which it
Yeah.
really was a new style back then, I think.
Exactly. I mean,
I
my
just
mom
thought-
did that.
Yeah, I just thought it was a bit odd, in 1 minute, and then all of a sudden she's just the cropped hair, and I think, well, what's going on here?
Product placement. Sassoon was getting his name known in those days, I guess. I mean, in a
Well,
way,
yeah,
it was.
he did all the hair. Yeah, he did the hairstyling. He actually did do the hairstyle. What else was I going to say? What I did like though was the the features of Mia Farrow, how she changed through the movie. Healthy young woman, and she just got paler and paler, thinner and thinner. That was so well done. You know, when she was drinking all this stuff, what Minnie was giving her and stuff like that, you know, you could see it was affecting her. But the way in the actress's facial features was so well done. So let's go favorite moments and things like that. Connor.
I think favorite moments. It was a good movie, but I wouldn't really be able to point out. I think maybe the ending is the one that stands out the most, and Terry's suicide. I think they're the two scenes that I quite liked. I also like the party scene where the girls kind of shut her in the kitchen or wherever it is, and give her a good talking to. And you're right. In fact, the one line that kind of I think encapsulated Mia Farrow's kind of appearance change was "You look like a stick of chalk," and she was really pale by that point. It was you know, she started from looking like Scarlett Johansson to looking like bleeding Glenda Jackson or something. It was really quite. It was disturbing. So yeah, I did. I liked how kind of that they put a bit of glitz and glamour into it at the same time. With also made me incredibly hungry. I mean, looking at that chocolate mousse, even though it had a shard undertaste or whatever she called it, and that cake that Guy ate 2 pieces out of politeness, not because he's a fat bastard, but just out of politeness. That made me really quite hungry. So yeah, I think kind of I liked all the glitzy scenes with like the party and stuff like that. But the rape dream scene as well stands out. Is quite. I liked I don't know if it was a makeup job that they did on Guy with the red eyes and kind of it looked a bit like the devil. I think
that was the point, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was really well done.
He was being impregnated by the devil.
Yeah. As was alluded to at the end with Satan's child. That's that really stands out. I think it was the more kind of psychological, twisty turny scenes really that stand out more. The rest of the time, it's kind of a housewife's kind of tale. I think I liked how just kind of on a general note, and I guess this is more down to the novel than the film because the novel came first. I do like how they've kind of staged this story around a woman's pregnancy because, especially the first time, you can imagine how traumatic it can be. And I always find kind of, as I said right at the beginning, kind of making the normal into kind of the abnormal is sometimes make the best horror. And that's the same with Get Out recently. So yeah, that's my favorite moments.
Oh, thanks you, Connor. Susan.
Well, I liked the ending. I liked her rocking the cradle, and you know, you're left thinking that maybe she's going to take care of the baby for the long haul, even though you know whatever. And I like how what a powerful actress Mia Farrow was in this. I got to tell you, she has awesome chops. Alex's mom really loves this movie a lot, and so yeah, so I will be able to, you know, share my recent watch of this with her. Anyway,
Cool.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah. Back over to you.
Thank you, Susan. Tim, anything particular what stands out for you?
I really like the idea of this group of old people in a building that have their own little devil worshipping cult going on, and
they were like a coven of witches, wasn't they?
yeah, and they're like unbelievable, really, because they're all so normal otherwise. And basically, this is one of those what they used to do back in the day, a building full of flats that they would turn into smaller apartments or something. So the walls were kind of thin. There's that scene where she hears the Ruth Gordon character in the other or the right next door, you know. But I mean, she hears what she's saying, and it's like she almost thinks that she's saying something And then you think, is this a clue? Is it a giveaway? I don't really know if it is, but it's almost like that first girl, the one that killed herself, was being groomed for the same thing.
Right.
And then I guess when Rosemary came along, they felt like she was a better candidate for it, and all they had to do was work around the husband. I love the ambiguity of that scene too, that you're calling it the rape scene, because you don't know, did the evil one possess her husband, or did her husband just get out of the way and let him do the work? Or it's
Well,
all ambiguous. It's all like all you see is the eyes for a minute while she's being, and you think it's a dream. That you're, as a trained viewer of stuff like this, you're thinking it's a dream. But even though the character says this isn't a dream, this is really happening. I mean, so in other words, she's almost lucid, or where she's awake through it, but it's still kind of dreamlike. So that's probably the most amazing scene in the film, and it's very ambiguous. And like you pointed out, it's excellent how the film goes along. She looks more and more ill, more and more sick. There's that bizarre scene where she just takes a piece of meat out of the refrigerator, tosses it in the pan, flips it over. I mean, it's like not even barely cooked, and then eats it right there raw, practically. I think it's a piece of liver. It's just like it's disturbing, but also it starts to make you, the viewer, realize that, hey, something really is going on here. Because at first, you're trying, as the movie goes on, you're thinking maybe it's all in her head. Maybe she's just has the paranoia of being pregnant. But wow, it's an amazing scene that really, I mean, pays off at the end. It really does pay off. I mean, like you said, it has dated quite a bit, but it was 67. I mean, what does that make? Over 50 years old now. So
yeah.
it's still an excellent piece of work.
Thanks for that, Tim. I mean, for me, everything what everybody said, yeah, I agree with. But the scenes with Rosemary trying to escape it all, get away from it all, and everyone who she turns to, even the other doctor, is part of the conspiracy. It's she just, whatever she tries to do, it's inevitable. She'll end back at the apartment, and
they murder her friend too, don't they, Hutch? They murder him, don't they?
Yeah. I don't know how they did it, but well, they got one of his gloves, didn't they? So they must have used a bit of witchcraft on that or something. But yeah, but Hutch from the grave sort of tried to help her by leaving her that book with a little bit of clues in there. Me personally, I would have wrote her a letter and said, "Look, get out of there." But yeah, it's well acted. It's, as I say, it's a little bit dated, but every movie every now and again does get dated. It's not horrific, but I can see why people sometimes shy away from this movie because of the satanic thing and all like that. So final saying scores, if nobody else has anything to say. Right then. Connor, final saying score.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Probably not something I'd watch terribly often. Just because I do think actually it might just be a tad too long for something that's kind of based in maybe 3 locations at the most. The apartment building, the street outside, and then the Saperstein's office mainly. I think it's kind of, it might just be a bit too long, but other than that, yeah, it's a good movie. You can definitely see why at the time it was pushing boundaries, because during the 60s it was kind of, I think it was kind of a religious kind of what's the word for it? A lot of movies were targeting religion and talking about it and discussing it and kind of coming at it from every angle, I think. And I think, I think it did it really well. Like you said, I can see why people would shy away from it being satanic. But I think overall, I'd have to give the movie maybe a 7.5 out of 10. And I think I will go back and watch more of Polanski's films, despite him being, who he is. But yeah, I think if he can do psychological horror like this, because I believe he did Repulsion as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think yeah, I've had that recommended to me recently as well. So I think I'll if it's kind of, I do like I said, kind of making the normal quite abnormal, such as going through a woman's pregnancy. So if kind of, you know, I think that was kind of something that I've noticed they've done quite a lot with 60s and 70s horror anyway. Like a lot of the films were very psychological and very kind of based in a home environment where it's just normal lives turned upside down by paranoia and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think 7.5 overall would be a fair score.
Thank you, Connor. Still a good score for the first time you've seen the movie. Tim.
Yeah, I would agree with Connor's points about the movies at the time. I think that this is one of the first really one that goes for that kind of horror that's more in the mind rather than so much on the screen. Because to be fair, a lot of the horror movies from back then were basically big bugs and you know, that kind of thing. Whereas this or you know, boogeymen. Whereas this is more of a psychological horror, like you said, and I think it does pretty well, or did pretty well at that time. You know, like I said, it might be a little dated, it might be a little too long, but in its time, it really was something new, uh, and something different, and is very well done by the cast, like you said. So I would give it, I think, probably an 8.5. I think it's that good of a movie.
Not bad there, Tim. Susan.
So, yeah, I it was an incredibly intense story. Uh, and yeah, there were a lot of horror elements to it. I think I will give it. I think I'll agree with Connor and give it 7.5 out of 10. It's it's definitely something that I needed to see at some point in my life, and uh, ta-da.
Thank you, Susan. Me personally, I'm going to give it 8 Hail Satans out of 10. You know, Hail Satan. I don't care. Yeah, it is a damn good movie, and you know, you got to watch this at one point in your life. This movie, because why not? It's a classic. It is classed as a classic, and you know, might as well bang it in and watch it for once. And if not, don't like it, don't watch it again. But well, that was Rosemary's Baby's review.
I do have one last thing to say.
Go
I was actually surprised upon kind of looking into this movie that this was considering its kind of classic, and maybe this is kind of in retrospect, its classic kind of standing in movies. Did it never got nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, which that kind of shocked me. And Roman Polanski never got nominated for Best Director as well for this. It was the script and as the actress that played Minnie, I think, that got nominated, which is that just kind of shocked me, to be honest, which I didn't expect. But then again, when are the Academy ever right?
Well, you'll remember that this also spawned some copycat films. Remember that horrible movie? What was it? It or whatever, with the baby, the monster baby crawling around and terrorizing people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It did well. Yeah, people just jumped on the bandwagon, didn't they? Thought that was a bit.
Right.
Let's do something similar. But yeah, I thought I was going to say. Oh yeah, we're finishing up, aren't we? I just got carried away there. I was going to discuss something else. Well, thank you guys for talking Rosemary's Baby. You guys out there, if you liked what we talk about, please leave a comment. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and I say if you want to subscribe to our channel, please press the bell notification and you'll get a ding every time we put a video up. So, because we're carrying on with our October spooky month, because that's what October's for. well, sometimes I wish all year round we could do movies like this. And you know what? As of January next year, we will be. So we'll be doing one a month. So look at Connor's joy on his face. Look at that. He's a little happy bunny.
As long as you make it psychological horror, I don't have an issue with that.
I'm trying to sort something out every month next year that we're going to have a sort of a set thing every month where we do a genre of type of movie. So there you go. So until next time, guys, keep watching the classics. Bye for now.
Hey,